Hi, Kylie Dunn here, and welcome to my plan with me for July 2021. So just quickly, this is the setup. This is basically what my table looks like before I start doing my plan with me. I should include a photo of what it looks like after I've decided I'm going to change colors and everything comes out everywhere, and yeah. Anyway, this month is a very different theme from last month because this is my birthday month, which means it's celebrate. So I like to sort of make my birthday month a little bit lighter and brighter and everything else. So a nice change from melancholy, although I will say that I enjoyed doing melancholy for the month and I enjoyed playing around with some of the themes and elements and components and thinking through some of the ideas that I have. I have a little bit of a plan for something really creative I'd like to do for melancholy, so this helped me solidify some of the thoughts. But anyway, we're not in melancholy this month, we are in celebration or celebrate, which is my birthday. And not just my birthday, but a whole heap of other people's birthdays as well. This is why July is a celebrate month. My sister, my mum, one of my nephews, and a whole big handful of my friends are all July babies. So yeah, it's a good month for that. So I decided I would make it celebrate. Now, this month I've sort of played around with a couple of different bits and pieces for colour. I decided that I would watercolour some components, then I decided I'd do some other bits in bright Tombow markers, and I will talk about that failed experiment when we get to it. So yeah, basically this is a representation of me. It's not a brilliant representation of me, but hey, this is the beauty of hand drawing and illustrating things. I can just do whatever I want. And the puppy dog that is suspended by balloons is my puppy dog Lily. Now, my puppy dog Lily happens to be a Springer Spaniel Labrador cross, and that makes her very black. Apart from the very white judgmental eyebrows and her getting a lot whiter around her snout and everything now, she's very black, which makes her difficult to draw because the outline gets lost in the colour. So I decided I would watercolour her in a very dark blue because poetic license, I can do whatever I want. It's an illustration. So I do actually, when I get the grey out a little bit later, I do give her a little bit of grey in her eyebrows and snout as well. But yeah, it's the month of celebration and it's also July. It's the middle of the year. Seriously. I'm not quite sure what's gone on with time, and I think it has something to do with 2020 being the year that didn't really happen, and I think our concepts of time have all been thrown entirely out of whack because it seems to be getting weirder. Things that go really, really fast, but then they're going really slow at the same time, and I don't know, I can't make any sense of it. But anyway, we're in the middle of the year. I hope that 2021 is proving to be a good year for you and it's, you know, you're getting to achieve the things you wanted to achieve and you're happy with your outcomes and how things are working and how life has generally been. Because that's what I tend to think of my birthday month as. I tend to think of my birthday month, even though this is about celebrating and celebration, my birthday month is usually a lot more about reflection. And whether I am where I think I wanted to be and, you know, how that's all working for me and everything else. And yeah, so I'll be doing some of that this month, which inevitably will come out in some way, shape or form. But, you know, I think generally I'm pretty happy with how things are going. But there's always a chance to think about, you know, where would I like my life to go for the next 12 months or how this will work. Because of course, this is my 49th birthday this year. So next year is the big 50. And I don't really stress too much about numbers and that sort of thing, but you know, they are milestones. So it's nice to think, oh, am I where I thought I would be when I was 50? And quite frankly, you know, I am and I'm not. I don't think I had any concept of my life being what my life is now when I was 30, for example. But this is life. Anyway, back to the bullet journal. You can see my health tracker in there, and now we're of course well into my mood tracker, and all the items here are celebrating items. I don't know why I decided to draw a duck in a birthday hat. I could have drawn any animal. I think a duck is really easy to draw, so we ended up with a duck in a birthday hat. I'm not entirely sure why, but my mood tracker. On to my quote, and for this month I decided to do another C.S. Lewis quote. I'm not entirely sure about why I'm ending up with so many C.S. Lewis quotes, but hey, must be something that I like about it. It's basically, you are never too old to set a new goal or dream a new dream, which I thought was quite poignant and great for my birthday month. And thinking about, what new goals do I actually have, and is there something I would like to change? The big thing for me is I'm already in a process of change. At the beginning of last year, I started changing my freelance business away from sort of facilitation and training and trying to push it more into illustration, animation, graphic scribing, all of these other bits and pieces. So I'm sort of in that transition at the moment. I don't know if I'm entirely where I had wanted to be, but I was being quite kind to myself and not setting any really harsh goals around, how many clients I'd like to have and everything else. Ideally, I have an idea of where I want to be in sort of the income I'm earning doing this, and minimum income, and not having to take on any more facilitation work. But I'm not there yet, but I didn't anticipate I would be a year and a half into changing my business, particularly when the first 6 months of that was in the height of a pandemic. So this is what it is. This is why you see creative stuff from me now, and why I'm doing all of this and everything else on YouTube and sharing, because it's part of that whole shifting my business and putting more of my creativity and art out into the world. And I find it really scary to call anything I do art, but that's just me. So my quote for the month, I'm pretty happy with how this one came out. I am going to redo it in Procreate and basically redo it all in colour, since I just left it black and white here. But this is how it goes, and this is what's going on. So yeah, July, geez. July is an interesting month in Australia. Some of our states have gone back into lockdown. We had actually planned on travelling to Wollongong to see my family, and that's not going to happen now, because who knows what's going to go on with New South Wales lockdowns and everything else. So we're going to put that off for a little bit longer. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. I'm sure I have a few bits and pieces planned. I have some really interesting client work that I'm producing, so I can't wait to get that out into the world. I will undoubtedly share it once I do. So the first double page spread, you'll see I've gone back to landscape for this, and I decided alcohol. Now this is really interesting for me because I'm actually not very much of a drinker, but alcohol is a really socially accepted form of celebration. And it's fun drawing different types of glasses and filling them with different coloured beverages and everything else. So I decided it was a really fun motif to use, even though I'm not that much of a drinker. Honestly, if I have more than 2 glasses of anything when we're anywhere, it's extremely surprising. So yeah, it's just not part of my world, but it is part of celebration in our Western culture. So hey, that's what I've done. So just lots of chances to draw some funky glassware, fill it with interesting colours. And this page is a little bit of a lesson in knowing when to stop. Because what I did was I decided after I did it all, the glass should have a little bit of colour as well, because it was looking a little bit bare. And it's all great until this final one where I decided to put blue in it. I don't know why. I could have just let it be and I would have been far happier with that page. But hey, then I did this page and any discontent I had with the first one went away. Now again, look, this is my bullet journal. This is not a sketchbook. This is not a piece of art. This is not a piece of a whole heap of other things. So the idea is for me to play and see how things go. And quite frankly, if I make bad decisions on the fly. I make bad decisions on the fly and I learn from them. That's what this is about. And this page is a classic example. So the way that I do my bullet journal is I sit down and I go, right, this is going to be the theme for the month. I come up with some motifs, so things that I think might fit into that theme. I, do some little sketches and things, and then I pencil up the pages and lay it all out, pencil it all up, and then sit down and video myself doing this, obviously. Now, the thing is that for a lot of this, I have a little bit of a plan in my head, but this is where you know that I don't actually plan ahead, because I mess colour up, and I mess colour up a lot. Like I did it in April when I was doing the cover page where she's sitting on the armchair and the puppy dog's in the front, and the colour scheme didn't quite work there. What I decided I would do for this page was I got a new set of Tombow markers, and it's a small set of their like tropical colours. Now, a few of these colours I already had, so I quite like them, the teal, the green, the sort of aqua colour that I use next after the red. So I quite like them anyway. There were two other colours, purple and pink. And I didn't have them, and I obviously didn't have them for a reason. And one of them has now left my collection of Tombow markers and is going somewhere else because I'm not happy with it, and I do not want to mistakenly pick it up again. So the purple's not too bad, but I definitely shouldn't have done purple and red. I don't know what was going on in my brain. I need to plan colour out. So this is my big learning out of this month. It is what it is. It's my journal. Who cares? But my big learning from this month is because of this pink that isn't pink. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't match in with all the other colours and I'm not happy with it, is I need to actually just sit down and plan out my colour palette. And I should know this by now, but obviously I don't learn lessons really quickly. And this month I well and truly learnt it. So now, as well as sketching out what the elements will be, I'm going to sit down and work out what I want the colour palette to be out of all the wide selection of Tombow markers and brushables and other pens and watercolours and all the other things that I have. I should just sit down and plan out what my colour palette's going to be. So that's going to be my challenge for the next few months, for the rest of the year, is to not only work out the components I want to include, but also a decent colour palette as well. So if that's a tip that any of you would like to take and use for yourself, there you go. Now, the other thing I have to remember is when I buy new brushes, this is a new brush. I absolutely love it. What it's good for is this, putting a whole heap of colour onto a page. And when I'm in my Archer and Olive journal, I need to go to a smaller brush that's not going to put quite as much liquid on the page in one go, because obviously it's bled through to both sides, and that's fine. Again, who cares? It's my journal. But it's a lesson. That brush, is fantastic for putting a huge amount of colour on when I'm doing larger pieces outside of this on proper watercolour paper, but I need to not use it inside here. So of course I used balloon motif for this week because balloons are celebration. This is what they are. And balloons are fun to draw and sort of put some colour into and everything else. So balloons, streamers and confetti. The last double page spread, the last week of the month, is cakes. Because, I mean, come on, it's celebration, cakes. It just makes sense. So I decided we'd do some cakes in here, and I'm pretty happy with how they came out. Cakes are great to draw because they're not overly complex, but you can get a lot of different colour and texture and everything into it with all the different elements around icing and cream and candles and layers and the little floret things and everything else. So you can get a whole heap of different sort of look and feel in it as well. So really happy with how the cakes themselves came out, which is great. And again, sort of sat there and looked at this and went, I won't watercolour these. I'll go back and use markers again because I don't learn lessons quickly. No, look, the markers were just going to work easier for like the really thin lines of colour and that sort of stuff. So that's what I decided to do. Grab the markers, This time I sort of went, well, no, I'm not going to stick with that tropical colour palette because it didn't really work that well. So get a couple of other Tombos out. However, I picked the pink up again. I picked that pink that I wasn't happy with the first time, picked it up again. So that's when the marker went away and never to return. So a few other Tombow colours, but also got the brushables out as well, which if you haven't watched any of the other videos, the brushables are great because one end is 100% colour and the other end is 50% colour. And so it gives you actually a lot of leeway in being able to get colour in and different gradients of things. And I'm really happy with the colours I have in those few brushables that I bought. So yeah, you'll see them make an appearance. You'll notice I'm using grey rather than just leaving it white because, I don't know, it looked a bit bare white. So I just used the real pale grey that I have in the brushable, which adds a nice little contrast to the pink and that sort of thing anyway. So this is my, my final week, cakes for celebration. And yeah, sort of having some fun for my birthday month. And as I mentioned, it's not only my birthday month, I'm doing a circus show. I'm doing 3 performances in a circus show, which I find terrifying. And I'm sure I will talk about in some way, shape or form. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting month. So notes page and a reflection page. And then that is pretty much it. We are done for July. So I've really been enjoying sharing all of this, and how many people have been watching these videos. Hi, welcome, and subscribers and everything else. I still find it very random, but thank you for being here. And this is July, and I hope you have a lovely month. Thank you.